sounds just a little bit with the windows open. Now I got the windows closed. So this is what you'll hear when you're driving. Still sounds nice and quiet for the most part, but you still hear a nice low rumble when you're driving, even with the windows closed. And I like that. So this truck's set up for a little bit of muscle, you know, a little bit of a muscle truck or expedition. Because if I wanted a gas engine, a V8 gas engine, to sound like nothing, well, I would have bought an electric car if I wanted to hear nothing while I drove. I like to hear my engines, hear my RPMs, hear that my engine is in tune or not, without waiting for a check engine light to show up. I'd rather hear my engine all the time to know that everything's good, everything's well tuned, a nice smooth machine. I would get bored of a quiet electric vehicle. It would just sound like nothing. I like to have something. I like to have a powerful sound when I go down the street or drive anywhere. A nice, low, powerful sound. Not a loud, obnoxious one, but a nice, powerful sound, and the performance to back up the sound. I've heard plenty of cars driving around that just are obnoxiously loud, and you see the slow body passing by as all that obnoxious noise emits from the exhaust system. So I'm a firm believer in, if you're going to have some sound, you better be fast too. You better have performance to match. And everything I drive has a nice powerful sound, and it has power to back it up. Not to mention it cruises smoothly too. Nice and quiet, with just a nice low rumble to go with it. So I hear what's going on under the hood. The Expedition's interior is pretty good at keeping outside noise fairly quiet. But I like to hear just a little bit of powerful exhaust note to go with it, which this exhaust system I set up together turned out just the way I wanted it. Gave the power and a nice sound. Decent pickup, and that's barely just past a quarter throttle without acceleration. So with the car original, I'd have to go more than halfway to get that similar acceleration. Similar meaning the pull, and like no sound. It sounded like a fan going down the street before. Now it sounds like a V8 going down the street, and it feels like it too. So, just going on my nice little morning drive, heading to the Cattleman's Cafe for some great lunch. So I figured I'd take everybody for a ride now that the intake and exhaust is done on this Expedition. Real smooth cruiser. Here I'm just smoothing at 60 and some change, and just humming away. Nice smooth rumble. About 1500 RPM, 65 mile an hour. Nice and smooth. Yep. SCT Livewire tuner right now, just doing the fine tuning. Put the tune on yesterday and drove it for about, I'd say about 70 miles. So it gave various throttle positions and settings throughout the drive to do the fine tuning on the 87 tune that I installed on the PCM. Now that tune allows me to just run the cheapest pump fuel possible. Since this engine is not turbocharged or supercharged, 87 octane is fine. This engine doesn't have enough compression to really run more octane. It really is not needed. Now, once I supercharge or turbocharge this engine, then I will need a lot more than 91, that's for sure. I'll need to go maybe 10 gallons of 100 octane avgas mixed with a top off maybe of 7 or 8 gallons of 91 to mix with it, which would probably take the average around to 96, which would be a good octane for this 5.4 liter V8 with a Whipple charger or any Root style supercharger that I could find on a reasonable budget. Most of the time trying to find a Whipple charger is somewhere around the $6,000-$7,000 range, which to me is kind of really high on the budget. So I would prefer to find something a lot more reasonable, like maybe say in the 2,000 range. So I'm most likely going to go look for a Ford SVT Lightning engine. Try to find one of those used for maybe a couple $1,000, build that engine and put it in this. Now the SVT Lightning is a 2-valve head and this is a 3-valve head. So I will most likely go with the new and improved heads on the SVT Lightning engine that have the longer spark plug holes, because that was a problem with the 2-valve 5.4 is the spark plug threads are too short and the spark plugs come out. They kind of shoot out when you start getting some high compression and boost from the supercharger. So one of those things. Come on, stupid people. I swear we got some lame drivers around here. So I have to give it a little goose here every now and then to get in front of these sheeple that don't know what they're doing behind the wheel. Well, let's see who's all at the Cattleman's Cafe today. Looks like a pretty full house. I may go to another restaurant because I'm not a big fan of large crowds of sheeple. I like a small town and I like it not so crowded when I go to a restaurant. So, well, they have a parking spot maybe good enough for me. Kind of close. Well, I'm going to sign off now and you guys have a great day. I'm done with my destination and mad boosting.